When we speak of healing emotional wounds, the first and most courageous act we can take is simply to acknowledge that they exist. Many people spend their entire lives running from their pain, disguising it with business, achievements, or distractions. Yet pain unacknowledged does not disappear. It waits patiently beneath the surface, shaping our choices, coloring our perceptions, and echoing through our relationships. The moment we stop and turn toward it, something remarkable begins to happen. The energy we've used to suppress it starts to transform into awareness. That awareness is the first ray of healing light entering a darkened room. When you close your eyes and breathe deeply, you may feel sensations that have been ignored for years. A heaviness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, a quiet ache behind the eyes. These are not your enemies, they are messages. Each sensation holds a story your body has been trying to tell you. Healing does not begin in the mind alone, it begins in the body's quiet whispers. The body remembers everything, even the emotions we tried to forget. To acknowledge your pain is not to drown in it, it is to finally allow it to speak, to be heard, and to soften in the light of your attention. As you breathe in, notice the resistance that arises. Part of you may say, I don't want to feel this. That's natural. The mind fears pain because it cannot control it, and yet, what we resist only persists. Imagine your emotions as waves on the ocean of your consciousness. You are not the waves, you are the ocean itself, vast and still beneath the surface. The waves may crash, but they cannot destroy the ocean. So when sadness rises, when anger trembles through you, when fear tightens your chest, let them rise. Let them move through. They are temporary movements of energy, and when met with awareness, they lose their power to define you. Often, we think that acknowledging pain means revisiting the story of what hurt us. But true acknowledgement is not about replaying the past. It's about recognizing how that pain lives in you now. It's about feeling the emotion without attaching to the narrative. If a memory arises, observe it as if you were watching clouds drift across the sky. You don't need to analyze it, fix it, or justify it. You only need to be present with it. Presence is the healer. It is the silent medicine that restores harmony to the nervous system and brings clarity to the mind. Take a deep breath and let the breath move into those places that feel tight or closed. With every inhale, you invite compassion. With every exhale, you release resistance. When you breathe consciously, you create a bridge between the conscious and unconscious parts of yourself. You're telling your body, it's safe now, you can let go. For many, this simple act of turning inward is the first time they've offered themselves true safety. You may even notice tears or trembling as old emotions release. That's not weakness, it's freedom finding its way through the cracks of the past. In acknowledging pain, we reclaim our power. The pain was never meant to imprison you, it was meant to awaken you. Every wound carries a lesson, not in the sense of punishment, but of revelation. What did the pain teach you about love? About boundaries? About truth? When you stop resisting and start listening, your wounds become your teachers. They show you where compassion is needed, where forgiveness must grow, where love has been withheld. This acknowledgement also dissolves the illusion of separation. When we suppress pain, we feel isolated, as if no one could ever understand what we've endured. But in truth, pain is the most universal human experience. Everyone has felt loss, rejection, fear, or grief in some form. When you allow yourself to feel your pain fully, without shame, you begin to see the shared humanity in everyone around you. You realize that beneath the surface stories, we are all just seeking healing, love, and peace. That realization alone can open the heart wider than any philosophy or belief. There's a deep intelligence in pain. It points toward the places within us that are still calling for love. When we meet our suffering with awareness, we're not trying to fix ourselves, we're learning to love ourselves exactly as we are. In that love, the pain begins to dissolve naturally. Healing is not about erasing scars, it's about seeing that even scars can be beautiful, that they mark the places where light entered. So as we sit in stillness, breathing and listening, we allow the truth to unfold. Pain is not something to be conquered, but something to be embraced. In acknowledging it, we do not become smaller, we become whole. The light of awareness does not destroy darkness, it transforms it. And in that transformation, the heart learns once again to trust life, to trust love, and to rest in peace. Close your eyes for a moment and simply whisper inwardly, I am willing to feel. I am willing to heal. That willingness is the doorway through which grace enters. And through that doorway, the journey toward inner peace begins. When we begin to truly understand the root of our emotional wounds, we step into a deeper dimension of healing. Many of us spend years trying to fix what we feel on the surface. The sadness, the anger, the emptiness, without ever asking where those feelings are born. But the surface emotion is only the echo. The real sound, the original vibration, lies much deeper. To heal, we must be willing to look gently into that depth to see not just what we feel, but why we feel it. Every emotion you experience has an origin, a moment where it first took shape. It might have been something someone said to you long ago, a moment when love was withheld, or when safety was taken away. Perhaps you were a child who needed comfort, and instead met silence. Perhaps you learned to be strong because no one else could be strong for you. These early moments plant seeds in the soil of our consciousness. And as life goes on, those seeds grow into patterns, ways of reacting, defending, and protecting ourselves from being hurt again. You see, the human mind is like a garden. Whatever is planted and nurtured there, whether fear or love, eventually becomes the landscape of our inner world. When a painful experience happens, especially early in life, the mind builds walls to keep us safe. But those same walls, if left unexamined, also keep out joy, intimacy, and trust. The very mechanism that was meant to protect us becomes the barrier that isolates us. That is why awareness is so essential. Awareness is not judgment. It is compassion seeing clearly. It's the moment you look at your pain and say, I understand why you're here. When you sit in stillness and an emotion arises, maybe sadness, maybe resentment. Instead of pushing it away, ask softly, where did you come from? You may not hear an immediate answer, but the body knows. Sometimes an image will appear, sometimes a memory or just a sensation. You don't need to analyze it. You only need to listen. Your emotions are not random. They are intelligent messengers pointing you toward the parts of yourself that are still waiting to be seen. For many, the deepest roots of emotional pain lie in unmet needs. The need to be loved, to be understood, to be accepted as we are. When these needs go unfulfilled, the child within us draws a conclusion about life. Maybe I'm not enough. Maybe love must be earned. Maybe it's not safe to trust. These conclusions become unconscious beliefs that continue shaping our experiences even decades later. We may attract people who reflect those same wounds, situations that replay the same theme, not because life is cruel, but because consciousness is trying to bring the hidden into the light. The universe repeats what is unresolved until we awaken to the pattern. Understanding the root of pain does not mean blaming anyone, not our parents, not our past, not even ourselves. It means recognizing that everyone acts from their own level of awareness. Hurt people often hurt others, not out of malice, but out of blindness. When you can see this truth, compassion naturally begins to flow. The walls begin to soften. You realize that what once felt personal was, in many ways, universal. You are part of a great human story of learning and awakening, and every wound, no matter how deep, carries within it the potential for wisdom. In meditation, as the mind grows quiet, the patterns begin to reveal themselves. You may notice how certain thoughts loop endlessly, how certain fears return no matter how often you try to suppress them. Don't be discouraged by this. Repetition means recognition is near. Each time a painful memory surfaces, it's opportunity to meet it with gentleness rather than resistance. As you breathe into it, imagine you are holding that part of yourself, the younger self who felt forgotten or afraid, in your arms. Whisper to that part, You are safe now. You are seen. This is how the roots begin to loosen. To understand your wounds is to reclaim your story. You begin to see that your pain was not a punishment, but an initiation, a passage into greater consciousness. The same experiences that once made you feel powerless can become the very source of your strength. Out of heartbreak can grow deep compassion. Out of loss can come clarity. Out of confusion can rise wisdom. Every root of pain holds a seed of awakening if we have the courage to look within. So as you sit here breathing quietly, invite your awareness to travel downward, not into darkness, but into depth. Allow yourself to feel the ancient emotions that still live inside you and know that you are not broken, you are unfolding. Healing does not mean erasing the past. It means seeing it clearly, understanding it deeply, and then allowing it to dissolve in the light of awareness. When you see the root, the tree of suffering can no longer grow. Take one more breath, slow and full, and let this truth settle gently in your heart. Understanding your pain is the same as freeing it. Forgiveness is often spoken of as a virtue, but in truth, it is an act of liberation. When we carry resentment or guilt within us, we are unknowingly carrying the past into every present moment. The memories of what was done to us or what we did to others become invisible chains, keeping us bound to moments that no longer exist. To forgive is not to erase the past, but to release its power over us. It is a choice to stop suffering twice, once when the wound was made, and again every time we relive it. When we think of forgiveness, we often imagine it as something we grant to another person. Yet, forgiveness begins within ourselves. It begins with the understanding that holding on to pain does not protect us. It poisons us. Resentment is like drinking a small dose of bitterness every day and expecting the other person to suffer. But the truth is, we are the ones who carry that weight. We are the ones whose hearts grow heavy, whose joy becomes dimmed by shadows of the past. Forgiveness, therefore, is not about another person deserving peace. It is about you deserving peace. There may be parts of your life you've buried deep, thinking that forgetting them would bring relief. But forgiveness is not forgetting, it is remembering without pain. It is looking back at the event, at the person, even at yourself, and seeing it through the lens of understanding. Every human being acts from their own level of awareness. Those who hurt others do so because they are trapped in their own suffering, their own blindness. When you can see that truth, anger begins to lose its edge. Compassion begins to arise naturally. Forgiveness is not weakness, it is the strength to see clearly without hatred. In meditation, this process can be very powerful. As you sit in stillness, memories may come to the surface. Faces, words, moments you've tried to forget. Let them come. The mind is not bringing them to punish you, it's bringing them because you are finally ready to release them. As each memory arises, breathe deeply and silently repeat within yourself, I release you, I forgive you, I set you free. And as you do this, notice that you are also freeing yourself. Every act of forgiveness unties a knot within your own heart. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. You may carry regret for the times you spoke in anger, made choices from fear, or failed to act when you should have. But self-forgiveness is essential to healing. To forgive yourself is to understand that you were doing the best you could with the awareness you had at that moment. You could not have acted from wisdom you had not yet discovered. Life teaches through experience, and sometimes those lessons are painful, but guilt does not heal. It only repeats the wound in your mind. When you forgive yourself, you open the door to growth. You allow yourself to evolve rather than remain defined by your mistakes. There is a profound lightness that enters your being when forgiveness takes root. You begin to realize that the world around you mirrors your inner state. When your heart is burdened with resentment, everything appears heavy. When your heart is free, life feels open again. You can look at the same people, the same memories, and see them differently, not because they changed, but because you did. Forgiveness shifts perception from separation to unity, from fear to understanding, from resistance to acceptance. To forgive is to say, I choose peace over pain. It is to reclaim your power from what once controlled you. No one can take your peace away unless you give it to them through your attachment to the story of pain. You can honor the lessons, acknowledge the scars, and still release the emotional charge that binds you to the past. This is true freedom, not denial, but transcendence. As you continue to breathe deeply, imagine your heart as a vast, luminous space. Within that space are all the faces, all the moments, all the memories that have shaped you. With each exhale, let forgiveness flow like light from your heart to each of them. You do not have to force it. Forgiveness does not always happen all at once. It unfolds in layers, gently, naturally, in its own time. What matters is your willingness to open. In the end, forgiveness is not something you adore. It is something that happens when love becomes greater than pain. When you no longer wish to carry anger, when you no longer need to prove who was right or wrong, love rises like dawn after a long night. And in that light, the past loses its hold. Take a moment now to breathe in deeply and whisper to yourself, I forgive. I am free. That freedom is where true healing begins. Inside every one of us lives a child. Not a memory, not a metaphor, but a living presence. This inner child carries the essence of our earliest experiences, the joy of discovery, the innocence of wonder, the longing for love, the fear of rejection. As we grow older, we learn to survive in a world that often demands we hide this tenderness. We learn to be strong, composed, efficient. But beneath the layers of our adult identity, that child still waits, waiting to be seen, waiting to be held, waiting to be heard. Healing begins when we remember how to listen. Many of the emotional wounds we carry are not the wounds of who we are now, but of who we once were. The younger self who didn't understand why love sometimes hurt, why safety vanished without warning, why the world seemed too heavy to bear. When you react strongly to something in the present, when you feel abandoned, dismissed, or unseen, it is often that inner child speaking, not the adult you've become. The adult mind says, I shouldn't feel this way. But the inner child whispers, I've felt this way all along. To heal, we must learn to bridge that distance between the two. In meditation, when the mind becomes quiet, you can begin to sense that small, tender voice within. Sometimes it comes as an emotion, sometimes as an image or memory. Perhaps you see yourself as you were at 5 or 8 or 12, wide, hopeful, maybe a little frightened. Don't turn away. Sit with that image gently, as you would sit with a child who has been waiting alone. There is nothing to fix, nothing to analyze, just presence. The simple act of showing up for that younger version of yourself begins to dissolve years of neglect. You might notice that your inner child doesn't speak in words. They speak through feelings, through tightness in the chest, through the ache of loneliness, through sudden sadness or longing. The adult mind may want to reason with these feelings, to make them go away. But the child does not need logic, the child needs love. When you place a hand on your heart and say inwardly, I am here with you, something shifts. That small voice softens. The body relaxes. A sense of safety returns that perhaps has not been felt in a very long time. The inner child also carries your forgotten light, your spontaneity, your creativity, your capacity for wonder. Many of us shut down those qualities to fit into the expectations of others. We traded curiosity for control, imagination for practicality, playfulness for responsibility. But those qualities are not lost. They are simply waiting beneath the surface, untouched by time. When you reconnect with your inner child, you don't just heal your wounds, you rediscover your aliveness. You begin to laugh more easily, to feel beauty more deeply, to trust more fully. This relationship with your inner child is sacred. It requires patience and tenderness. You cannot rush it, and you cannot fake it. There may be times when that child shows you pain, times when tears come without warning, when memories resurface that you thought were gone. Welcome them. These are not setbacks. They are signs that the walls are coming down, that love is reaching places it couldn't reach before. Healing the inner child is like thawing ice that has covered the heart for years. It melts slowly, but as it does, warmth returns to every part of your being. Forgiveness also lives here. Often, our younger selves carry blame, the belief that we were somehow responsible for what happened, that we weren't enough, that we should have been better, stronger, wiser. But no child should bear such weight. When you meet your inner child, remind them gently, it was never your fault. You did nothing wrong. Say it again and again until it begins to sink in. These are not just words, they are medicine. With each repetition, you free that child from the burden of undeserved guilt, and you free yourself from the cycle of self-judgment that may have followed you into adulthood. In time, the relationship deepens. The inner child begins to trust you, not the world, not others, but you. And that trust becomes the foundation of real inner peace. When your inner child feels safe within you, no external rejection can shake your sense of worth. You begin to live from a deeper confidence. Not the confidence of ego, but the confidence of self-love. You are no longer searching for validation outside because you have become your own source of nurturing and safety. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine holding that child close to your heart. Feel their small heartbeat syncing with your own. Whisper to them, you are loved. You are safe. I am here and I will never leave you again. Let that promise echo softly through your being. This is not imagination, this is integration. The child and the adult merging into one whole, healed self. And in that embrace, something beautiful happens. The past loses its power and love takes its place. The breath is the bridge between the body and the mind, between the conscious and the unconscious. It is the most intimate companion we have in this life, always with us, from the moment we arrive until the moment we depart. Yet most of us rarely pay attention to it. We breathe automatically, unaware that each inhale and exhale carries the potential to heal, to release, to transform. When we begin to use the breath with awareness, we unlock a power that has always been within us, the power to free trapped emotions and awaken inner peace. Every emotion we have ever felt leaves an imprint in the body. Joy expands the chest, fear contracts it. Grief lingers like a weight around the heart. Anger burns in the stomach or tightens the jaw. These sensations are not random. They are the body's language. Its way of holding experiences the mind could not process at the time. When we ignore them, the energy becomes stagnant, looping through us in cycles of tension, anxiety, and fatigue. But when we bring the breath into these places, something begins to shift. Breath is movement, and movement is life. The breath doesn't just sustain you, it cleanses you. Close your eyes for a moment and simply observe your breathing. Notice whether it is deep or shallow, relaxed or forced. Without changing it, just feel it. The breath reveals the state of the mind. A restless mind produces a restless breath. A peaceful mind produces a slow, even rhythm. When you consciously slow your breath, the mind begins to mirror that stillness. This is how the body and mind speak to each other, not through words, but through rhythm, through awareness. When you breathe with intention, imagine the inhale as light entering your being, and the exhale as the release of all that no longer serves you. Inhale peace, exhale tension. Inhale forgiveness, exhale resentment. Inhale love, exhale fear. This is not imagination, it is energetic truth. The body responds to the quality of your awareness. With each breath, you are teaching it to let go, to trust, to return to its natural state of balance. There may be moments when emotions rise as you breathe deeply. Old sadness, anger, or even tears. This is the body's way of cleansing itself. Do not resist it. Allow the breath to move through those emotions like a gentle wind through a field of grass. The breath does not judge what it encounters. It simply flows. Let it flow through you. Every sigh, every tear, every deep exhale is a doorway to release. You are not breaking down, you are breaking free. Breathing consciously also reconnects you to the present moment. You cannot breathe in the past or in the future, only now. When you anchor your awareness in the breath, you step out of the mental noise of what was and what might be. You return to what is, This is where healing happens, in the now, in the living awareness of your being. Each breath becomes a reminder that life is always beginning again, no matter what you have been through. The next inhale is a new beginning. The breath is also a teacher of surrender. You do not force it, you allow it. You do not control it, you trust it. It shows you that life itself moves through you, that you are not separate from it. When you exhale, you let go of what has already been given. When you inhale, you receive what life offers next. Every breath is a cycle of death and rebirth, of letting go and receiving again. To breathe consciously is to align yourself with the rhythm of the universe. As you deepen your awareness, begin to notice how the breath travels through your body. Imagine it reaching every corner, the chest, the spine, the belly, the fingertips. With each exhale, feel tension melting away, dissolving into nothingness. This is not a forced act, it's a natural unfolding. The body wants to heal. The breath gives it permission. Over time, you begin to sense a spaciousness within, a calm that does not depend on anything outside of you. This calm is not something you create, it is what remains when all resistance is gone. In moments of chaos or confusion, remember your breath. It is always there to bring you home. One deep breath can change the chemistry of your body, quiet the mind, and open the heart. The more you practice returning to it, the more you begin to live from that center, grounded, peaceful, aware. Even when life feels uncertain, the breath reminds you that you are supported by something larger, something eternal. So as you sit in silence, breathing in and out, let this truth settle deeply into your awareness. Healing does not require force, only presence. The breath knows the way, and in that still rhythm between the inhale and the exhale, peace reveals itself. Peace is not something that we find by accident. It is something we cultivate through awareness, choice, and love. Many people spend their lives searching for peace in the external world, in success, possessions, relationships, recognition. But peace is not hidden in the noise of life, it lives quietly beneath it. It is not something to be achieved, but something to be remembered. Healing emotional wounds is not just about letting go of the past, it's about discovering a new way of being, a way rooted in self-love, acceptance, and presence. As the layers of pain begin to dissolve, what emerges is a soft stillness, a natural peace that was always there, but covered by fear and resistance. It's the same peace you might glimpse in moments of silence. When the mind stops chasing, and you suddenly feel the fullness of being alive, this peace does not depend on perfect circumstances. It exists even amidst uncertainty. It is born when we stop fighting with life and start flowing with it. The heart, once guarded, begins to open again, and in that openness, peace becomes the natural state of being. To live with lasting peace is to live in alignment with your true self. The true self does not cling to the past, nor does it worry about the future. It lives fully in the present moment, where life is always unfolding fresh and new. Every breath, every heartbeat, every sensation is a reminder that peace is already within you. You don't have to chase it. You only have to allow it. The more you release the stories of who you think you should be, the more you return to the simplicity of who you are. Self-love is the foundation of this peace. Without love for yourself, peace remains fragile, easily disturbed by external events. When you truly love yourself, not in a self-centered way, but in a conscious and compassionate way, you create an inner sanctuary that no external force can penetrate. Self-love means honoring your needs, speaking kindly to yourself, and forgiving yourself when you forget. It means recognizing your worth without comparison. It is not about becoming perfect. It's about embracing your imperfections with tenderness and seeing them as part of your growth. When love fills your awareness, peace naturally follows. Love is not an emotion that comes and goes. It is the very essence of who you are. To live from that essence is to see life through the eyes of the heart. Even challenges begin to appear differently. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this teaching me?" The moment your perception shifts from resistance to understanding, suffering transforms into wisdom. That is the moment peace enters, quietly, deeply, without effort. Each day gives you opportunities to return to peace. When someone says something that triggers you, pause, take a breath before reacting. Feel the space between the impulse and the response. In that space, peace lives. When the mind begins to spin stories of worry or regret, return to your breath. Let it guide you back to the present moment. Peace is not found in trying to control life, it's found in surrendering to it. To surrender does not mean to give up, it means to trust. Trust that life is unfolding exactly as it should, even when you cannot yet see the full picture. This state of peace is not passive, it is powerful. From peace arises clarity, creativity, and strength. When your mind is still, you make wiser choices, you speak with more compassion, you listen more deeply. Peace connects you to the intelligence of life itself, an intelligence that always knows how to restore balance. When you live from peace, you stop being reactive and start being responsive. You begin to meet life as it comes, with grace rather than resistance. It's important to remember that peace is not the absence of pain. Life will still bring moments of sorrow, change, and challenge. But when peace lives within you, those experiences no longer define you. You feel them, you allow them, but you no longer drown in them. Peace becomes the stillness beneath the storm, the silent strength that carries you through everything. Close your eyes for a moment and bring your attention to your heart. Feel its rhythm, steady, constant, unhurried. With every beat, it whispers, I am here, I am alive, I am whole. Let that awareness fill you. This is your center, the place where peace and love merge into one. This is where you can always return, no matter what happens outside you. In the end, healing is not about becoming someone new. It is about remembering who you have always been, a being of light, of love, of peace. And when you live from that remembrance, the world around you begins to reflect it back to you in countless ways. Peace within creates peace without. And when you touch that eternal stillness inside, you realize you were never broken, you were only becoming whole.